right, guys. So here we have DXY first. This is the daily time frame. Overall, DXY has been a pretty strong bullish trend. We can look on the monthly here. Pretty strong bullish trend. This is all monthly time frame. Each one of these represents a month, right? So we're approaching this monthly zone. Pretty strong trend. So that's where I started my analysis on. We drop down to the daily. And we could see over here, so this double bottom that formed. So this is showing more bullish pressure. It broke structure here, and now it retested, broke resistance, retested a support, and now we're finding a little bit more resistance here. So before we can find a real direction as to where DXY is going, we want to see a break of this blue line, or we want to see a break of support here. So I think it's going to come down a little bit, form a higher low, and then push out to the upside. Because again, we're staying with the trend. This is the daily time frame, so we may see a little bit of a retrace and then ultimately a push higher. So that goes hand in hand with gold because it shares an inverse relationship. So if DXY goes down, gold is going to push up, and then vice versa. If DXY pushes up, gold's going to push down. So let's hop over to the gold chart here. Let's jump to the monthly. So again, this has been pretty much bullish. Huge push after this inverse head and shoulders on a monthly, pushed up into this new range. It touched the monthly resistance, and now it's kind of consolidating. So what is this pattern here on a daily? Looking like a bit of a flag where we have a double bottom forming after a 38.2% fib retracement. So you can see this big ass flag. Here's a double bottom, and now we're expecting a bit of a push outside of this blue line. Structure, this is resistance. We want to see a break, retest, and then the flag itself break, in which case we'll target back towards this monthly zone. Now, I don't think it's going to be as swift. I think it's going to be kind of choppy because in line with DXY is consolidating within a range. So they're both safe havens. So ultimately, we think that they're both going to appreciate over time. So again, we're just looking for that break, that retest, and then that ultimate push higher. This is a really good pattern, huge flag. Should be interesting next week. I like this double bottom, good confirmation.
I like that.
We posted this in the Telegram as well.
32.
Yeah, 38.2, right? Good ass chart. So let's keep moving on to the next one. We're going to take a look at AU, which is a trade that we actually have out. This is the daily time frame. Let's just take a look at the monthly real quick, get a general idea of the sentiment. Huge bearish movement. See this? And a double top off the monthly, and then it kind of just fell out. Really overextended, just pushing low, just printing lower lows over and over. Broke key resistance here. Broke key support here. Let's drop down to the daily. See what we got. So here's that fib. You could see fib after it broke through zero down to the low. We've been it's a little choppy in here. It's just some lows. We have a higher high over here after this resistance level was broken, but it was a lower high on a higher time frame. As you can see here, the 618 was rejected perfectly. We have a couple engulfings with plenty of exhaustion supporting the overall bearish trend, right? So let's zoom in a little bit more. We have a descending triangle. After it broke this support level, retested 38.2, another engulfing, and now it's pushing out of this triangle, right? So we're expecting this to drop a little more. Whoops, there goes my fibs. We're expecting this to drop a little more. I'm going to say at least to these previous lows. Might even see a wick of the 0%. So this has quite a bit of room to drop. We're looking at like 80 pips, and then even lower, we could even see it going to the weekly after another retrace to another fib level. So this is interesting. This is definitely one of our top picks for next week. It's looking really good as far as structure. You can see just clearly, it broke this support level, retested as resistance. The MAs are really pointing down pretty sharply. So we'll see. We're just going to monitor this one into next week. Let's take a look at Euro Swiss. Let's jump to the monthly as we've been doing. Are you checking chat if there's any questions?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here we are on the monthly for Euro Swiss. It's a little, you get these big movements, a lot of wicks, but it is sharply bearish. Like, just look at this drop, guys. It's pretty ridiculous. Sharp drop, and now we're kind of consolidating in this area compared to previous volume. This is much less, but we are still ultimately bearish. We had a retest of this level here of this monthly, and then big ass engulfing, breaking support, retesting as resistance. So let's drop down to the daily and see where more recent price action is at. So again, here's that range highlighted in between both red zones here. So you can see this is the low, this is the high. Price has been bouncing between these two zones pretty significantly. So we're gonna see, I think price is at least gonna come up and retest this 38.2 as it has previously. And then from this area, this is a confluence area, we're gonna see what happens. If it breaks out into this new range here, we wanna see a retest, and then we'll target the monthly as these arrows show. So it's a break and retest. But if we see rejection as we did over here, exhaustion plus a strong bearish setup, we're just gonna look to target back to this low, to the bottom of this range. So we're just playing in the zones here. So let's see how wide this range is. Let's say hypothetically we saw strong bearish setup through the MAs. You're looking at almost 200 pips to the lower zone, but we still have about 40, 45-ish pips before we get back to the 38.2. So
this that's what we're targeting too with the signal that's out right now.
Right. Yeah. We current
1.10500.
Yeah. So on a lower time frame, we're kind of riding with the trend here, and we're just expecting it to come up to here. So we're kind of long until we see anything else that kind of cancels our sentiment. So right now we're, this is a lower time frame bullish trend. We're coming up to the 38.2. That's our target for now. And then again, we'll reassess once we get to this level, as it is, it's been holding. So you can look over here. It was support. It broke through, retested as resistance, came back down, formed this range, tested as resistance. And again, yep, we're just going to see a test as resistance once more. Let's keep moving. Next pair, we got AJ. This one's a good one. So we've actually been collecting a lot of pips on this over the past few months, as it has been very bearish. Let's go to the monthly just to get a look at this trend. Again, seriously bearish. Just look at this trend. Super strong, breaking through the monthly support, retesting the monthly as resistance, pushing down off this trend line. And now it broke through the monthly again. Currently retesting, we can see a little bit of a spinning top, some good exhaustion. So let's go ahead and drop down to a daily and see where more recent price action is. So we have a bit of a transition here. We have a higher low here, this area being broken. This is also structure, this blue line. And now we have a bit of a consolidation triangle. It's an ascending triangle, but again, this is a huge area of confluence. We're below the MAs. We're below broken support and now resistance. So all that we're looking for is a target of this 23.6 and this lower trend line. So I think it's just going to give us another good strong bearish setup and kind of fall out of this region. And we're just targeting down here for now. And again, once we reach this area, we're going to reassess. We're going to look for a break and retest or a bullish setup, something along those lines. We're not trying to predict the market. We're just following what we see. So let's see how much further. So it's about 100 pips from current price action down to this trend line. And that's our first target. Just looking again, higher time frame in mind. It's very bearish. And this is looking pretty clean so far. So we just want to see something significant in this region early this week. Again, guys, these are all daily time frames that I'm going over. Nothing's below the daily right now. So on to the next one. This is EJ. We have a question. Ooh, excuse me, guys.
GBP took a big fall in that.
Yeah. Well, market open, so everything kind of gapped.
Market open. Let's go.
All right, so we're looking at EJ here. Pretty similar as far as AJ looks, because this is it's JPY pair. Pretty bearish here. This is a monthly, pretty bearish movement. Came back up, tested the monthly resistance once and twice, pushing down kind of along this trend line. Breaking support, testing his resistance below these MAs now on a monthly. So huge significance there. Let's drop to a daily, get a look at recent price action. So this one still has a lot more to prove, this pair, before we can confirm more bearish movement. So based on what we see here, we see the 38.2 is being respected here because this is a daily bullish trend, right? We have a big push. And then we have this flag formed. So flagpole, here's the flag. 38.2 is respected as well as broken structure, this blue line. And we just have higher lows formed. Boom, breaks out of this flag. And I was looking for a little bit more of a retest on this flag and these MAs, but ultimately we're just going to wait for this to come back to the weekly, right? So we're looking to target, about 60 pips higher from here. And then again, as always, we're going to reassess once we get to this area of confluence. And we'll see if it's got enough in it to either push lower or to break this zone. And then again, as always, we'll look for a retest here and we're targeting higher. So this could be the beginning of a daily transition. We want to see this high broken, retest, and then a continuation. So we will see. It's going to be another analysis probably later at the end of the week, beginning of next week. This is the daily. We still have about a week of play in here, I bet. We'll see. This is a really clean pattern, though. You see this flag? It looks good.
Yeah,
it's really good. Euro pairs are showing a little bit of a bullish volume lately. So this is, yeah, JPY is very weak, especially with all that trade news and crap coming out. So let's keep moving along. We got NJ, the New Zealand dollar versus the yen. We're going to hop up to the monthly here, assess the trend. Very bearish, kind of overextended. It made its push. It broke support, retested here, and then sharp drop, boom, blowing through support again. This is broken structure. And now we're kind of back in above this monthly. So let's see.
He was here.
What the daily
He was here.
telling us, guys. More recent price action. So always again, keep in mind if you're looking at the monthly, price action from 2012 isn't gonna really give you that much benefit as as the daily will. In the last couple months, you want to see where the more recent trend is. So that's why the daily is kind of a sweet spot. We have a good bullish movement on this daily time frame. We had a bit of a rectangle. It broke out pretty swiftly, and it's coming right back up to this structure zone. So this was the monthly structure broken. It's coming back up to retest, which is great. And again, we're going to see what happens here. Either we're going to get a huge bearish setup, target back down to the monthly. So let's see how far away that is. About 160 pips. If we do see a bearish setup here, because again, we got to keep in mind the yen is very weak. So the New Zealand dollar is going to push up in comparison to the yen. But, as the news changes, sentiment changes, and, again, we're just going to keep the overall trend in mind. So we'll see what happens. This was a good trade. We did an analysis on this, expecting it to come up to this region, the 200 EMA, again, structure and the monthly resistance. So we'll see this one play out. But if this does break, let's say yen remains weak, gets even weaker, and the New Zealand dollar remains strong, we're going to look for that break. And if you can break and retest, then we're looking, this is that transition, right? We're going to look to target long, which shows us a good enough of bullish volume. So again, guys, you can always go back and check our analysis in the Telegram or the Discord. They're always posted in there. You guys can compare these against your own analysis. Super important to do. So here we are on NU, New Zealand dollar versus the dollar, the US dollar, that is. So let's take a look at the monthly. Huge bearish trend. Just look at this thing. Huge, just falling pretty much off a cliff. Broke through support here around the 200 EMA, tested as resistance. It held very well right off this EMA. And now it's pushing lower, broke a few more levels of support. And now we're looking at that retest around the 38.2. Let's go ahead and drop to the daily, see what it's telling us. Again, recent price action. So here we are, bit of consolidation and recent price action here. We have this rectangle forming. We are above the MAs, but we need some conviction. So like what do we need to see out of this rectangle, right? We want to see a break. So considering that this huge monthly resistance is here, we either want to see a break above, oh, my bad. We want to see significant closure up here before a retest, and then we could target higher, fill this range back up to the monthly. This is a big range here, about 100 pips higher. Or if we see something like this, huge exhaustion with a huge engulfing candle through the MAs, right through this rectangle, that's a whole bunch of confirmation in itself. It's like 4 right there. So then we would just target lower, target the trend line, target the support, and then again, if it breaks here, target the next zone, the weekly, and so on. So let's check this range. How far are we from the next weekly support? About 150 pips. So there's some good movement coming on this pair, I think, because we definitely have a good amount of consolidation in this rectangle. So this one we're going to kind of wait on before we get some more conviction. There's a little bit of a gap here, market open. But there's definitely a play here to be made. Probably soon, probably this week, we'll see something happening, or we'll get a better indication as to where this pair is going. So that's NU, guys. Let's take a look at our last two, for me at least. So we got Yusuf, US dollar versus the Swiss franc. So this one was pretty interesting. Huge range here. Actually, let's just jump up to the monthly for now, assess the trend. Pretty bullish, but kind of choppy too. So it's like, this is a huge range. Huge range. It's not really a super sharp trend, but it is still overall pretty bullish all the way back from 2011. It's just higher low, pushing up. We're looking for that higher high, right? So let's drop down to the daily. Let's take a look. We're back in a rectangle. So we want to see a break of this rectangle, either out of the low or out of the high. And right now it's looking like we're breaking out to the upside. So we want to see a little bit more significant closure, a nice retest of this structure level, this now support, broken resistance turn support. And then we're going to target our next resistance, which is our daily, about 115, 120 pips up. So this should be an interesting play. This one is definitely going to play out this week, I think. We're going to see good conviction coming out of this pair. So again, yeah, break and retest, guys. That's pretty much the key to it. I love trading rectangles too. It's so easy to see a break because it's such a level that's held pretty precisely. You can see there's test, 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 and then a break. Super easy to spot. Let's go over to my last pair that I analyzed this week, NZ versus the Canadian dollar. So NCAD, let's go. This is going to be a great trade this week. So let's go to the monthly. So this one's pretty bearish too, but it is overextended. So you just have bearish candle after bearish candle on the monthly. And now we have our first monthly engulfing, which is huge significance. So we want to see it come back up and test this monthly resistance level, potentially, because it is so overextended. So let's take a look at what the daily is telling us. And look at that. We broke out of our weekly resistance level, resistance zone, weekly resistance zone. So we broke out, clean closure, way above resistance. It retested, and then we have a little bit of consolidation, and we're looking for that conviction that'll push us up to this next zone here, the 618, which is where we think this, remember, overall, it's an overextended monthly trend. We want to see it come back and hit that 618. At least that's what price action is telling us here. We have a daily bullish trend. We broke the weekly. Now we're just looking for, some conviction candles on lower time frames, and we're going to target about 120 pips higher towards our 618 fib level. So this is going to be a great trade. Keep an eye on this one, guys. This is looking so clean. But yeah, so that's what I analyzed, and we're going to pass this over to Angelo to go over his analysis. So thank you, guys. And I'm going to stop sharing and mute myself. Where is the mute button?
Guys,
I'll take over some.
what's up, everybody? You want to just test it? They can hear me. Turn on your volume real quick. Yeah. I'm just gonna share this screen. Got this. So yeah, I'm gonna go over some more of the major pairs. We're gonna start with EU. Bring this up to here. And we'll actually start with UJ. So we'll start up onto the monthly. Take this out right now. So UJ has obviously been showing a lot of bullish momentum over the last week or so. It's been showing a lot of bullish momentum. Obviously today is the first day of the new month, so we've got some monthly closure on these candles from last month. So definitely weigh that into what you're analyzing for the week ahead. See how that last month closed out. We could see UJ close with a lot of bullish momentum. We're still within the moving averages. We got the SMA leveling out now. This red moving average up here. So ultimately, this pair, if we look overall, we were bearish on this from these lower lows and lower highs all the way on the monthly. But as we can see, we've broken through this resistance and we've broken above this weekly level now.
Yeah, Nick, we can hear them.
Cool. So again, just starting on the monthly, we'll work our way down, start to see, what is making up this current trend that's going on at the moment. As we can see, price right here on this weekly, if we were to just take a little fib, bring it out, fib this first level, you can see some structure has been created at this point, and then ultimately here, structure has been created right here, and then we have the break of resistance here, form of a new higher low, and then form of a new higher high here. So ultimately right now, we're just trying to look to continue this upward trend into the upward trend line that we're looking at. And again, this goes along with how we're saying USD. Check in your Zoom. Oh yeah, it says it's muted. Let's hear it's this guy that joined.
Oh.
You gotta just monitor that. Yeah, this guy's
I can't mute him.
this guy's going crazy. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, I'll tell you which ones.
Cool. So this
Sorry about
guy,
that, guys. There's another guy.
they have no mics. Those two.
Scroll over one.
Yeah, I got him. So yeah, so UJ, to go along with the rest of these, JPY, we're weak on JPY right now. USD we're strong on. So yeah, let's break it down to the daily. Let's look and see what's going on here. Let's just try to look and see how cleanly we can see structure. Seeing higher high, we're seeing higher low. This level is respected. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So at this point, we're at the end of. There's also clean now. Cool. So we're at the formation of a high. At this point, we're not looking exactly to take trades at highs based on the fact that we see structure very clearly at this time frame. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that we can start to recognize some sort of continuation pattern at the top of this current push upwards. So that is what I was looking at to sort of recognize something like that. I see a bullish flag, like an upward forming flag, which means like it's like a weakening trend. So ultimately, I'm looking for it to fall out of this and then to find some sort of support over in this confluence zone that we have marked over here. So I have the support level. I have my 38.2. So as we come into this area, I'll look for setups. And then, like I said, to continue this bullish trend on UJ. So that's UJ. Let's get into UCAD right here. So start up on the monthly. So again, let's look and see how these monthly candles have formed. We're seeing a little bit of exhaustion on this monthly. Ultimately, we're riding this moving average and slightly above there. So that's UCAD on the monthly. Then we'll go down to the weekly. This is sort of what I was looking for. Again, we're looking for this immediate little price zone. I'm looking how this broke support here, ultimately formed lower highs, this double top, and then we're pretty much testing that area again. So there's a lot of confluence to push off of this area back to retest this lower trend line down here. So based on this weekly, I went down now to the daily and then started to draw out some confirmation. So we have a little bit of a supply zone from this previous push downward. And then I fibbed this whole entire push that broke below this level of support. So right now we're around that 88.6. And then as you see, we got a lot of sellers exhaustion or buyers exhaustion right in this area. So depending on how we can see a setup, we're right on the 200-day. We're still above like the moving averages, both of them. So ultimately, I'm looking for a more confirmed setup before dropping down. But yeah, there's a lot of buyers exhaustion on this. So we will see if we can potentially find an opportunity to short this market, and then we'll maintain this first until this level down here, which is about 70 pips away. And then ultimately this lower trend line will be our other projection area. So that's going to be UCAD. Then we got EU, the fan favorite.
Yeah, looking interesting for this week.
Yeah, so we got EU, obviously the monthly, very bearish, engulfing right here, rejection again of the moving average. Start to clear things up a little bit more. We see this huge, engulfing candle here, and then again, rejection. And then last week actually formed a little bit of a doji. So that could potentially mean that we're rejecting this weekly level. We might need to find a deeper level of resistance, a certain price to push off of. So going down to the daily now, sort of see like where does structure start to line up. we see this, we form this higher high, ultimately this higher low. That was a double top and that broke. So now if we were to fib this new movement, and I'll just clear this up for now, we have this daily fib from high to low. We had 38.2 that was hit. And then at the moment, we're right below. We're within this like 23.65 mark. So potentially out of this area, we go down to the 4 hour. We could see how price right now is making this, and it opened actually gapped up. So price is actually showing a little bit of rejection off the support level. So ultimately, if we do get a break of this level of resistance, 1.10200, and then this level 1.10300, I'm going to be looking for retest on that resistance turn support and ride that into this 4 hour 38.2 confluence area. That's also this whole daily confluence area that we got going on there. So that's just that lower time frame fib that I had. This 4 hour one, I would just fib like this, and we would just be looking first 38.2. We'll see if there's some sort of rejection here, but if not, ultimately a desirable area would be up in this 88.6, again at that daily 38.2. So we'll be maintaining that one.
It's a good analysis. That's highly likely that's kind of a deep thing.
Yeah. What'd you do? You did AU?
Yeah, I just you can go over it again if you want.
Yeah, I mean, AU obviously is going to be very similar. We got the trade out right now. We got, yeah, this whole, so we'll start up here with the monthly. Same thing. We got below this moving average. Again, we're at this serious support level. Look at this wick just hitting this support. So right now we're definitely watching this relatively closely. We're at the end of this like weekly push. So we're going to just maintain this on this daily, very similar. We had this higher low formed, and then we had this break below this support level. And then ultimately we had a little bit of a retest to this 38.2, like perfectly bullish, bearish, boom. And then now we're just looking to test down this weekly and this negative 27. But if we come down to this 4 hour, we can see this channel that's forming, and ultimately shorts will be taken within this channel and maintained. But once this channel is broken, we're going to look to retest, look for some sort of retest of these more desirable PRZ zones and these resistance levels as we maybe look to get some sort of exhaustion. So that's AU, definitely short right now on this. And then let's do, we got GU. So GU,
You want to make it bigger? Make it right there.
What, this?
Yeah.
So GU is, as we can see, like all the way on this monthly, this is a little bit of a doji. So last month we had a ton of consolidation, but at the same time, look how we're above these moving averages. So the average of price had been bearish, but then we broke above and we maintained above there, which is definitely significant. And then look at the weekly, it's just bouncing around like a pinball right in between these levels. What does that look like? Like I said, when we're on the, what's up, Chris? When we're on the formation of a new higher high, and we're looking ultimately to get that retracement to our PRZ, what we do in this area is we look for patterns. So right away, I'm thinking what pattern is forming right now, and we'll look on like the daily, and there we go. We see a rectangle, right? We're seeing this high being respected, and we're seeing this lower level being respected. So ultimately, and this is all the way on the daily. So ultimately, we're looking for, similar to what Nick went over, how there was a slight break above whichever pair had shown a rectangle. We're looking for daily closure above this level, right? Which is, you got to wait a full day. And right now we're still within this whole rectangle. So ideally, I'm looking to trade once it pops out of this area. But if we look, if we want to play this little channel that's in this rectangle, we had a little bit of a break right here, this lower high. And then ultimately, if we're just playing on a smooth transition, we could fib this low to high. And then we've got this 38.2, which was respected with this bullish or this evening star that was just like so much that it's basically a bullish engulfing. And yeah, so if we can, take a trade into that, back into that upper resistance level, and then reevaluate based on how it reacts to there, that's potentially a play that we can make on GU. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at for GU. And then let's look at I believe I have NZ. You did NZ, right?
Uh,
I'm pretty sure NZ USD.
yeah, I just went over it.
Yeah, we're good on NU. And then we have USEF, which you did. Let's see. I got,
Ooh, it is running slow. Zoom is killing this computer.
yeah, it does. So I got we got GJ. So same thing, GBP pairs, you know, we've been popping out. We've been coming up and showing a lot of bullish momentum in this area. Again, on the weekly, you know, huge. We're at this higher high. I was looking for the formation of that same thing, some sort of pattern in this area. And then we had gotten that. We had gotten the rectangle. Last week, we had this inverted head and shoulders that broke. And then now, pretty much what I'm looking for is that retest of more ideally this lower zone right here. But at the same time, we're not going to count out that a retest of this higher level of resistance turn support. Nice, nice. We're not going to rule out that price could potentially just bounce out of this area right now. But we got a lot of buyer's exhaustion at the moment, and we are extended, and there's no real formation of per se any pattern, at least on this time frame right now. So GJ, we're gonna wait out a little bit and then try to get an entry on this, and then we have ESEF, which is interesting. We got a little trade out right now. I think did you do ESEF?
Yeah, I think you can cover it.
No, I think we're good. Let's so yeah, that was pretty much 10 plus pairs, you know, a little bit more than that for now. Maybe we'll get some more GBP pairs out there. If there's any pairs that you guys want, you know, drop them in the chat. We'll give you like 2 minutes to drop them in. Yeah, but that was definitely, you know, there's definitely a lot of setups that are going to be in play. GBP AUD, please. We'll take a look right now. So we'll do a little bit of a markdown of this for you guys right now. So we got.
Also, tell them where this video is going to be posted.
Yeah, I'll do this first.
Okay.
So we got started on the monthly, right? We're just going to look for where are our key levels. We see here resistance, support. Come over to this candle. See how price just tanks off or just rejects and support off that level. So that's definitely major right there. And I'm just going to mark this. It's always good to mark up your charts, keep everything clean. And then again, you want to come onto this and even these out. We'll just call it that.
Yeah, that's perfect. And
then, so we got one monthly level there. And then ultimately prices within this range. So we're going to look for a level above there. So we're going to come up, We can come in this area, check on here. So we got support. And then over here, we got some resistance right off of this level right there. And then what we'll always do is we'll measure what the range is between this. On GBP AUD, there's a ton of pips on this pair. So what we'll like to do is stay within 10,000. But for this one, like 10,000 points. But within this one, you know, you go a little bit more just because of the actual volume that's within the pair in general. And then we'll just mark this upper level as a monthly. We'll come down here. We like to just half this level right here. And again, we're going to get, I know there was a question about halving this level and what does it mean and stuff like that. And that is definitely something that we go over more within the course. But just for reference, we can see how price ultimately comes, and we can even adjust that level. We see some rejection in that area. So this is definitely going to be a significant level that we're going to look for price ultimately to test. And then again, I'm just going to even out this and get a more clean psychological level on both of these right here. And then we're going to go put our moving averages back on, start to make sense of really what is going on right now. Again, we're all the way on the weekly. We're at the end of this like push. We're forming a new higher high. And ultimately though, let's take a look at potentially some sort of channel that is forming on this pair. So we get something like this, something like this. So just try to make sense, because obviously we're at the end of this huge, we're at the end of this formation, this huge push, right? So ultimately I'm not looking to take anything in particular, but on this weekly, we know that we're obviously bullish on this. And then again, we'll go on to the daily. let's start to make sense of some structure. Yeah,
Look at that break.
this thing is taking off. So let's just look and, try to identify where we see structure clearly. So we hit this 38.2 that was like right near this monthly level as well. And then now we're ultimately like testing that 0%. And we'll see then if we can come up to test that weekly level that we have marked up here, which is near this -27, and then also this trend line that we sort of have going on up there. So that's where I'm going to look, and we could see if there's some sort of like resistance in the area that we're currently at. Right here, we see like a situation based on this test and this test. So start to make sense. Oh, maybe price will, look to reject off of this area and form some sort of, higher low. So right now I'm not too big on taking a trade in this, but let's come down to the 4-hour and actually see what's going on. So we got this right here. Yeah. We got this right here so look how clean this is actually starting to look. We had this 4-hour break of this flag, right? And then we had this high formed, and then we had that rectangle situation again. And then ultimately we had the break and the retest of the rectangle. So right now we're just looking to, again, since we gap down, and this goes along with a lot of the other GBP pairs, how we're looking for them to continue their bullish momentum. If we can get some sort of setup, or even on the lower time frame, if we can just identify like the transition that just occurred right here, we can potentially get a nice little trade opportunity. And this pair's got a ton of pips in it. So it's like 120 pips. So yeah, I would just wait. There's a gap, and ultimately, a lot of people say gaps fill. I mean, gaps do, for the most part, fill. So I would say some sort of long opportunity is going to present itself for this pair, and then we can look for this more minor level of resistance to target, and then ultimately on that weekly, which is all the way up here, we can look for that to get retested if we continue to maintain this bullish momentum that's going crazy for this. So that is that. Let's just look at for the week. Let's look at some news to finish up. I've noticed another channel that passes over this current time. Oh yeah. So let's look at some news. Let's see.
I'm back, boys.
Oh yeah. What's it? What do we go? Economic calendar. So look at some high impact news for this week to go along with all of the pairs that we just went over. Let's see. This week we got this. So this week we got NFP on Friday. Everyone be aware of that. It's the first Friday of every month at 8:30. So you can see that down here. But earlier in the week, so today, I'm not sure if this had already passed, but it's looking like 8:45. We've got this China news. No one's trading China though. And then we've got Euro news tomorrow, some USD news and AUD. So yeah, let's take a definite look at that for AUD. So we're going to see some volatility within there. And then come Wednesday, we're going to have some more USD news and some CAD news, some Euro news on Thursday. And then Friday is when the fireworks are going to go off with the non-farm payroll. So again, thanks everybody for joining. You can look at this. We're going to post this on YouTube, and then I'm going to drop the link for everybody to view in our Discord and Telegram. We'll put on Instagram. So you're definitely going to have access to this. Again, we went over, over 12, 14 pairs in this. So there's definitely a lot of setups and a lot of good sentiments that were given out by us that you guys can use and use in your trading for the week ahead. And obviously, market's open, and we're wishing you best of luck, and let's all kill it this week. And yeah, I appreciate everyone that stayed for the entire session.
Oh, yeah. So if you have any questions, guys, just don't think reach out to us. I think I'm muted.
Yeah, you guys reach out to us. Nick's muted, so I'm just going to pretty much wrap it up because when we put on our volume at the same time, it's like echo and stuff. Yeah, so thanks, Derek. Thanks, Jay. And yeah, we'll see you guys. Obviously, we're going to start doing these every week. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Yeah, I'm going to get that mic.